Hello, welcome. Yes, so thank you for the introduction. You are here from legacy vendor tooling to OpenTelemetry, how we scaled observability at MSCI with a 4-person team. We'll introduce ourselves in just a moment, but first, who or what is MSCI, since you may or may not have heard of us. We are a $44 billion financial services company. We do investment decision support tools. Basically, lots of number crunching and data on different things, private assets, real estate, equities, fixed income, things like that. We have $16.5 trillion worth of assets benchmarked to MSCI indexes, which my quick Google before we got on stage said is roughly 16% of the total global stock market is somehow influenced by information that flows through MSCI. It's not a lawyer-validated figure. It was just something I Googled. But so what that means for you, because you probably aren't or might not ever be our customer, is if you have a pension fund or a retirement account, you are probably being affected by us because your benefit administrator may be using our information to help manage your retirement. And our stack is deployed across multiple different clouds, on-premise, Azure, GCP, some AWS, that's changing. We have about 6,000 employees and many, many different teams to suit. So that's MSCI, who we are. I'm going to introduce my colleague Aftab Khan to you. Aftab is our vice president in charge of, we call it sort of next generation telemetry tooling, and in our shared services engineering organization, which is like our central IT. He's a certified Azure solutions architect. He's an expert on all things CNCF. He's a full stack developer. There's not many things that, given a weekend, that Aftab can't pull off pretty cool at scale. He seems to be always available on Microsoft Teams, so he's pretty good. Now Aftab will introduce me.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Thanks. So Zach is executive director in MSCI. So he's Kubernetes architect. He's DevOps expert. And Zach is a contributor of Kubernetes since 2017, right? So like half of the planet was struggling what is the Kubernetes is. He was the contributor, right? So he is a Kubernetes master. And of course, right, he's a full stack developer. And the cherry on the top is he's like youngest author that I know. He's written a book on Kubernetes. So if you guys are stuck somewhere, so you can just search Zach Arnold Kubernetes help. This is all about.
I have kids. It's an excellent cure for insomnia. Read it to them. They'll be out in seconds. Out in seconds. Yeah. Thank you, Aftab. So we want to start our journey on scaling observability with a story. So it's a day like today. It was sunny in the morning. Now it's cloudy. Birds are singing. Coffee is on time. Everybody's smiling to each other. And then everybody's phones and pagers start ringing. And they say, oh, have you seen the front page of this application? No, of course not. What's going on? Ah, yes. I'm sure many of you in this room are familiar with this screen. This is one of our personal favorites. The challenge with this particular one is this is a very public-facing application. So this wasn't just us that saw this. This was our customers who saw this during their workday. That's a very big problem. And the worst part about it is we could have seen it coming. So the incident, I'll spare you the RCA, just say it was avoidable. It's a failure. But the problem was we didn't really have a great handle on all the information that was flowing through the system. We were using lots of legacy licensed vendor tools, because for compliance reasons we can't say the specific ones. But we had this Egyptian hieroglyphic legend to compress the number of bytes because we were charged by the byte that flowed into this system. So decoding logs took time. Of course, every system is connected to every other system, and those systems weren't sending logs to the same place, so there was no such thing as aggregation when it came to logs. So you have teams, and everybody's sharing. There's 70 people on the same call. Everybody's sharing their screen. Everybody's trying to coordinate this particular incident. So it became so difficult, and the biggest problem was this is a revenue and a reputation risk to MSCI. I just told you, $16.5 trillion. I mean, you don't really get the ability to say, oops. It's something that we're known for quality, we're known for availability. So we have to address this. And Aftab and I, we took some time back in 2021, same as, sounds like Dropbox. And we were like, how do we solve this? how do we solve this? And as we analyzed the problem, we saw, ooh, actually, this isn't just this particular application. MSCI has grown over the past 55 years organically and as a result of many acquisitions. Those company acquisitions always brought their own tools. And of course, they like their own tools. We want them to keep working immediately. We'll be building the integrations afterwards. So the proliferation of those tools brings siloed teams. You need to now start, you got different observability stacks. So siloed teams bring complex coordination anytime there's an incident, just like we talked about, which leads to inconsistent telemetry pipelines, which adds high maintenance overhead, which then we've got vendor lock-in on top of that because everybody's stuck with their tool and it's licensed and it's expensive and you're logging at only the error and fatal level, so you only know when something goes horribly, horribly wrong, which then increases our costs and limits flexibility. And this starts to look like an architecture diagram that has evolved over the course of 55 years. So we thought to ourselves, there has to be a better way. So we approached this problem both at a technical level and a system level. One of the things that guided us is my favorite quote from Ben Sloss at Google SRE. He said, anything that scales headcount linearly with the size of the service is doomed to fail. I love that. So we said, is it possible for us to build an observability platform that works for everybody at MSCI without having to add more people? Because today, or at the time, absolutely had to do it. You're at this talk, we're standing on the stage, so you know the answer is yes. We'll share more now. So first, how did we discover OpenTelemetry? We realized as a result of a cloud migration that was in progress, we were dealing with something, a networking issue, an authentication issue, can't remember quite what, that there were a lot of imports for OpenTelemetry inside of the Azure Application Insights jar. I'm like, we'd heard of OpenTelemetry. We've seen it in the community. It was very young at the time. It's still, very fast-moving project, still growing and stabilizing, but we thought to ourselves, that's a pretty big green signal. If Microsoft is willing to build a product that they sell to people on top of this open source ecosystem, maybe we should look into that. So then the thought process was, what if instead of adopting application insights and trying to go around and do everything the Microsoft way, which was the initial push, what if we then decided, let's treat OpenTelemetry as our abstraction layer. We don't change anything about where data goes. We stick with the silos. We don't change anything about those. We just build the interface, the shim, the abstraction, and then we can begin to work on all of the integration pieces. So for us in my department, we make big decisions through something called an architecture decision record process. Thank you, Spotify. I know they didn't invent it, but they popularized it, so we appreciate them for that. And a lot of the credit to helping us navigate the organizational piece really goes to my manager, Michael Muller. He provides lots of good organizational insight to be able to say, like, hey, it's not just that we have great technology, you also have to have great processes, you have to work with these teams, you can strategize across multiple different organizations and business units. He's also tall, handsome, smart, long walks on the beach, getting caught in the rain, and I'm not just saying any of that because he controls the size of my bonus at the end of the year. It's because he actually knows from his experience and all those things that even at his time at JP Morgan, he did a great job being able to pull off these organizational transformations. So we decided to go with OTEL. We'll figure out the rest later. We'll stop for a moment for those of you who are not yet familiar with OpenTelemetry, which is fine. Why would you pick this? So this isn't from the website. This is just our understanding. What we love about OpenTelemetry is observability signals, for us, logs, metrics, traces. You can receive them from anywhere. You can push them to anywhere. So you receive syslog, varlog pods, star.log, the agent, OpenTelemetry agent for Java, SDK, all of it. And you can push it anywhere. Your legacy tools, your cloud tools, your open source on-premise tools. You can begin to version those pipelines as code. You can begin, so now you get to actually see and version where is this information flowing in your system. Of course, it's open source. There's no vendor lock-in. That's amazing. There's open standards, lots of great documentation online. And then now we have this unified layer where we're all speaking the same language. This is a log, this is a metric, this is a trace. This is how these things come out of these systems, and this is how we get them to somewhere else. And we use the standard vocabulary or grammar of OpenTelemetry to do that. But that's only one piece. So our department, we adopted OpenTelemetry, but then obviously we needed to put it somewhere. So Aftab is going to tell us more about that somewhere. Aftab?
Yeah, thanks, Zach. So if you see, right, this is our architecture diagram. So it seems to be simple, but it's literally very powerful, right? So every second we are storing approx 1 gig per second data in Elastic, right? So the log flow and metrics and traces flow is such a huge that this design is able to capable of holding that piece, right? So in the middle of this piece, right, you will see that OpenTelemetry, that is a golden bullet for us called Unified Data Sync. So this piece is sitting as a collector which is collecting data from different applications. So I will start with a small story, then we'll jump on to the detailed piece. So like on the middle of, like 2 years back, on the middle of night, we faced one challenge, right? Some of our critical microservice started going up and down, right? Restarts and stuff. So while checking the logs, we don't see anything obvious. Grafana dashboard shows literally green, but something was wrong, right? So after checking like logs and stuff, but client was still complaining there is a slowness issue, right? So that day is clicked, right? So hence we say telemetry matters, right? Observability matters, right? Because in complex application world, these problems will bound to happen, right? It will not say that you will build some application, it will run smooth. No, never, right? So it will happen. So how we are going to handle that level of complex stuff using this straightforward design that will show, right? So we use log collection, we use Elasticsearch, and then fluently dumping the logs from all the different sources, and we use OTEL as a middle layer to dump it to Elastic. And we have Jaeger. Jaeger is for distributed tracing, of course, right? So as a developer, if you want to see right from where your request has generated and from where this request is going, right? So Jaeger is one of the best fees for distributed tracing. So why Jaeger? Because Jaeger uses Elastic as a data source, right, background. So we don't have to invent anything new on this stack. So we have used Jaeger. And Prometheus is for metrics, right? So as per my knowledge, Prometheus is one of the best tools on this planet for metrics, right? So this half of the world is already using. So and we have a NetApp, right, where all the data is stored. And this data is stored in one of our NetApp storage, right? Once the data is stored, we have Grafana, like single pane of glass where you can see everything, right? Log, traces, metrics. So if something happens, you will be able to generate an alarm. And we have PagerDuty, right? And PagerDuty start getting email and mobile calls to the guy who is on call, right? So if you see this flow is straightforward, but we are able to hold such a huge data, right? Because recently we encountered some of the issue. We are not saying that we are 100% stable, but yes, from where we have started, from where we are, we say that we are able to achieve our observability goal, right, using this design. So I will take you to the starting from where we have started this journey. In late 2021, right, we have started this exploratory phase, right, initial small program to see, right, how OTEL will work. So we have written a small program in Java and instrumented that program with OTEL, and we are able to see what all JVM metrics we are able to capture. And then we have like first mover. So my team as a centralized team work very close. Zach's team work very closely with us. So Zach we have given this proposal to the Zach and team, right? So they have happily accepted, and they have started instrumenting their application to see how the things will work, right? And then once we have instrumented one application, most of the teams sees a lot of benefit, right? Some of the teams comes with the mindset, okay, this will remove vendor locking, right? So there is no vendor locking. You can ship anywhere, right, from anywhere. And some of the team was like, we have logs, but we don't have traces, right? So some of the pieces was missing in their telemetry stack. So some of the team adopted it that way, right? So in mid of like late 2022, we have shifted from advocacy to direct contribution to the code base, right? So it is a straightforward piece, and we work on the model that we build it as a platform, they run it, right? So we are a platform enabler. So once we onboard the team, team can do anything as per the need. So we have standard onboarding scorecard. So as a developer, right, you might be thinking, okay, you are saying OTEL, how we can onboard and what all benefit we are going to do. So we have created one scorecard called onboarding scorecard. We have listed down all the benefit once you adopt this journey, right? So instrumentation piece, what will help and how this will solve the problem, right? So if you see, right, if your application written in Java, you will be able to see from heap memory, garbage collection, class load time, everything from major to minor, everything will be in fingertips, right? And then also, right, we use pair programming to ensure long-term ownership within the team, right? So in mid of 2023, right, we focused on cost efficiency across cloud provider. So yeah, and we leverage OTEL to enforce locality principle, right? Because we started seeing that if your application is sitting on cloud A, then all the data will be sitting in cloud A only, right? So we have used locality principle. So in mid of 2023, approx 50% of application is application coverage was there, right? In mid of 2023, right?
This is like well over 1,000 applications.
Yeah.
And Aftab is there making pull requests, writing stuff,
Yes.
getting into code.
So in late 2023 and till present, right, we are saying that we are evolving, but the state of the current system is literally very stable, right? So we can, as I already said, no, we are dumping 1 gig per second onto Elastic. So you can imagine, right, how big the design is. Although we, as an employee, we are not a huge company, but if you see that data-wise, transaction-wise, it's doing a great job, right? So we leverage OTEL to standardize delivery to one destination on-prem. We use Elasticsearch, right? Why Elasticsearch? Because we are using Elasticsearch from a couple of years, right? More than 5 or 6 years. So we know, right, how to scale, what problem that we can face, that we can face. We have already figured it out, some of we are. So it is very stable, and Prometheus, for anything that you name it, Prometheus has those metrics, right? And Jaeger is for distributed tracing, and Grafana we use for unified visualization layer, right? So Grafana is literally a bullet where we have created such a beautiful dashboard, right? You, as a engineer, as the executive layer, you can see entire view of your application, how the things are actually working. So from request generation to request execution, networking layer, everything will be in your front of you, right? So we are giving feed from different tools, and Grafana is able to visualize the stuff very, very clearly. So if you can see, right, we have taken the dashboarding level already to the next level using Grafana. 100% of the business unit penetration was there, but 80% of application is fully instrumented with using OTEL, right? So currently we have 80% application is instrumented using OTEL, right? So this is our journey. So we are not saying that all the piece which we have set up or we are working is like one day or like a 1 year game. It's a long journey, but now we can say that the position where we are right now is literally giving us a fruitful result, right? So. What is the business impact? So from last couple of minutes, I'm speaking about this OTEL piece. So what is the impact, right? Why anyone thinks about this, right? So in previous 6 months back, I guess, we have a PagerDuty tool, right? Where we have recorded the MTD, time to detect any issue is reduced by 30%. So the main problem in this world is, right, time to detect, right? Solving the problem is fine, right? Because if you detect the problem early, you will solve the problem, right? So that was drastically reduced. And of course, right, we are using observability, right, CNCF stack. It will definitely reduce the cost. So, and the next piece is onboarding of any new application. We have automated pipeline. So whenever you want to instrument your application, just run it, log traces, metrics will be available in your fingertips. So it's a minute game, right? So it's not like somebody run this code or manually do the stuff. Everything is automated. So, and as I already said, no, this is self-managed observability tool. So it's vendor agnostic. There is no vendor locking. And it's scalability without increased headcount, right? So this is without increased headcount because we rely on a lot of automation piece, right? So this is what we do, right? So obstacle, although what all we have achieved is not one-day game. So we have a lot of obstacles, right? Integrating with OTEL, with tech stack, legacy mindset. Developer was thinking, okay, after we were saying this, and if we adopt this, what all code level we have to change? And data sync selection. So we have done a lot of pivoting, complex required dashboard rewrite, because some of the dashboard is already written in language A. So if developers started thinking, if we move from this to this, we have to rewrite everything, right? But some of the folks understood because of the positivity and then their mindset. Okay, if we go this way, then everything will be under single hood, which will solve a lot of problem, right? And then, and some of the folks are thinking that operationalizing open source tool to it's a team responsibility is CNCF like a CNCF baby, right? So there might be not some thought that if something happen, how the scalability will happen, or stability, and so on and so forth. But we did it right. So from last 2.5 years, 3 years, this platform is literally giving us a very good result, right?
Here, let me help.
Yes. So if you see, right, the key force multiplier, because we have a lot of positive energy in teams and unified observability stack, and a lot of good documentation is available on internet, right? So you don't have to do anything on your own. The problem which you are facing is already solved by someone, right? So there is very good documentation. And also, right, recent days we have started using generative AIs, right? So yes, so if you have any issues, you just search it. You'll definitely get like 1 or 2 solutions for sure, right? What next, right? So recently we have started evaluating, right? Because we are dumping approx 2 terabytes of data, more than 2 terabytes of data every day. So we are on the verge of writing one pipeline. So on the what all data we dump it, we have one mechanism. We are working on that mechanism that will give us, okay, from last 6 hours, this log pattern, right, called anomaly. This log pattern, which is not seen in last 7 days, is pop up, right? So as a developer, if you see how the things is working inside your application, how the application is stable, that will help individual team, right? So we have recently started learning about eBPF, right? So we are not saying we are expert, but after 6 months we will, right? Because this is a key that will give us a full end-to-end dependency, how the things are actually working inside my Kubernetes cluster, right? So we are on that piece. And also we are working to see, right, driving client insight from real monitoring user. So we want client to, before client inform us, we should get the application performance degraded, right?
And that's important for a company like ours, just as a moment, because we don't have 700 million users. So if we screw up less than 5% of the requests, it's not a problem. We're business to business. Every single request counts. So seeing issues before they happen and resolving them before they become a big problem, it matters a lot more for a company like us.
Yeah, so we have one vision, right, that telemetry to help drive future of product decision, right? So we want telemetry should be solid, so all the decision that on product can be, telemetry data can be utilized, right? So we have that vision, North Star, so yes, definitely we will one day.
Yeah.
So Zach.
Yeah, so some takeaways. If you want to pull off both an organizational and technical transformation on your own and do some things, here's some tips that we would give. Not sure why the text slid down. Sorry about that. So the best thing that we did was start by having the abstraction layer of OpenTelemetry, hands down. That was great. Don't change anything about where everything goes. You can leave the silos where they are. Start with OpenTelemetry, get the application instrumented. That's the hardest, but the most critical piece. And then for us, not 100% of our applications run today in production on Kubernetes, but having the collector in Kubernetes allows us to do the very fast versioning of pipelines and be able to deliver them through Helm chart updates so that we can run experiments. In fact, there's actually an experiment ongoing where maybe we want to try the same thing that Dropbox did, have the LGTM stack. You throw the stack up into Kubernetes, add a pipeline statement in your OTEL collector config, and now you're running in 2 different observability stacks, and you can actually start trying out in Grafana. There was 0 application change. It's very good. Aftab will talk about the rest of the points.
So again, right, that static data sync selection, so you can select as per your need because we have...
But remain flexible.
Yeah, of course, right. So we are using Elastic because we have like a lot of stuff that is already going on to the Elastic. So scaling us, Elastic is not a huge piece and huge infra change. So we adopted Elastic. And Grafana is like, again said, that this is one of the best piece, CNCF for single pane of glass, where you can see how your application is working. And again, right, effective communication. Why I said this? Because when you do something new, right, you have to do a lot of roadshows. You have to talk to developers that if you do this, what is the benefit out of it, right? So a lot of roadshows we have done. We have created documentation, small training videos to help the team. And last is call to action, deploy OpenTelemetry. So OpenTelemetry, we are really very happy that that currently OpenTelemetry gives us is really outstanding, right? So in short, right, if you see, mission impossible is mission possible, right? So what we have done in MSCI, right?
So thank you very much for your time. Lovely disclaimer text. Any questions? I think we have the microphone, or I didn't set up a text line, but if anyone wants.
Thank you. I think we'll have time for only one question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. It's okay if you want to just shout, and then we'll repeat.
Yeah.
Oh, a little louder, please. Sorry.
Thank you. I was just wondering, I mean, I looked at your chart, very good talk, because I like how you summarized everything in a simple chart, which I can understand. That was bravo for that. Bravo for that. My question is, when you had all these different disparate systems in place, and you had acquisitions, et cetera, at what point, I mean, they wanted to continue using their favorite observability tools, so where did that fit in? Or for each, say, company that you acquired, they had to plug into your system, or how did that work specifically? Like, what did they do with what became of their old system?
There's really only been like one, maybe max two acquisitions since starting this journey. So for them, it was what Aftab said, like, okay, time to get integrated with OTEL, make sure it's instrumented. Like, you can ask my manager and the guy sitting next to him right there in the second row. We made an acquisition last year. First thing we did, it's a Python application, and get the SDK in there. And then since we already had the collector infrastructure running in Kubernetes, give them the right endpoint, and they were off to the races.
So you took over the role or the services for observability then for those particular companies?
But this particular acquisition was in our department, so we were already there. But Aftab's team, like now there's an enforced standard because so many of the applications at our company use it. It's sort of like an emergent standard. Does that make sense? Yeah. So applications beforehand, they had to be transformed.
Yes.
Like acquisitions before. You know, there was a lot of transformation work that happened. This man basically doesn't sleep. But afterwards, now we sort of have this emergent, self-reinforcing standard of, oh, yeah, use OpenTelemetry.
Yeah, good.
Does that answer your question? Yeah, if you want to talk more about it, we can talk afterwards, which I think I'm now supposed to say. So I think we're at time for questions. Yeah.
Yeah, we're out of time for questions. So if you have more questions, please find our
We'll be over here.
Yeah.
around. And we will be back with the next talk in 10 minutes.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.